In this video, traders are going to look at what's your trigger point. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. So this video is all about trading discipline and really identifying what is your personal trigger point. So what the heck is a personal trigger point? So this is a number, and it's normally, uncannily, it's normally the same throughout all the variables we're going to look at. So basically, it's a number where if you have a continued number of these things, i.e. losses in a row, losing trades in a row, it triggers you into trading in a different manner and often triggers you into a spiral of loss. Or vice versa, it could be you've had a number of winners in a row. Now this is often a different number, losers to winners, but there is a number and it's often very, very consistent. It's uncanny how consistent this is, that basically encourages you to trade differently. So what do I mean? So if you're trading, let's say you're an intraday trader, we'll talk about that example and we'll talk about a swing trader. Intraday trader, if you have 2 losses in a row, and by the way guys, my number happens to be 2 and I'll explain in a moment. If you have 2 losses in a row, then the third trade is traded from a different perspective. So in other words, you can take 1, you're not bothered about it, you kind of just trade, say it happens. You take 2, you start to think that you're not in tune with the market, and actually you might not be in tune with the market. That's the thing, it might not just be a kind of emotional thing, it might just be a operational thing that you aren't in tune with the market. So you have 2, and the third trade tends to be, you know, there's a lot riding on this trade now. I can't have a third loser because that's probably going to knock me out for the day with my max loss. I feel like I'm not in tune with the market. Maybe the confidence has been dented a bit. And so the magic number is 2. And at that point, you recognize on that third trade, then you really kind of got to be careful and you've got to do something about it. I'll talk about that in a moment. And if we look at another kind of scenario, number of days drawdown. So if your kind of equity curve has been kind of plodding up like this, maybe you've kind of had 1, that's fine. But then when you have 1 and 2 days drawdown, again, this is different for everybody. The third day might become more meaningful for you because you think, I've had 2 days drawdown, that's not a big deal. But a third day is more of a big deal, and maybe that's a bit more of a problem. And so there's a little bit more pressure, and that's just enough sometimes to tip you into maybe chasing trades a little bit more than you should, maybe snatching up profits because you're too keen on getting a green day. Same with the trade. If you have 2 losers in a row, the third trade, like, well, I can really do with getting this to be green. So maybe that just in your subconscious, as the market's going in your favor, not quite your target, I just take it because I just want to get a green in the bag. So you start to trade slightly differently, you start to adjust what's working, and you start to then be steering the ship a little bit off course. And so what's your personal trigger point number? Like I say, 2 for me is about right. And what I mean by that is, if I've had 2 losing days, or if I've had 2 trades, it's not the end of the world. I'm not saying that the world ends and I catastrophically fall into a spiral of doom and blow up an account, far from it. But I recognize that at that point, I feel a little bit more pressured to perform again. I feel a little bit more pressured to make sure that I'm doing everything I should be. Am I out of sync with the market? You know, what's happened? Have I traded a little bit too eagerly? What is there? Something's not quite right because I wouldn't expect. And the thing is as well, guys, 2 trades is nothing, right? It's nothing. But it's just a personal thing that means that I just have to sharpen my edge a little bit. I have to sharpen up what I'm doing a little bit. Just be mindful of process. And most of the time, not a problem. You know, if your next trade's a good trade or if it's a losing trade, it doesn't turn into a spiral. But the point is, and that's not the issue, is not that you're going to turn into a catastrophe. You're going to have 4 losers in a row. It's not a big deal. But the key is that it's the trigger, something changes with your decision-making process. And that is what you're trying to spot. And if you spot it and you recognize it, you can manage it. Just like I do and say, hey, 2 losing days in a row, don't want a third, right, how do I make sure the process? But then accepting that it could be a third, because I can't change the outcome of the market as long as I stick to the process, could well be a third losing day in a row, or 4 losing days in a row, and I'll have to manage that and make sure that I come come back effectively from that. But the point is, it needs to be sure that that third day is not traded from a different perspective. So the trigger point is when you go, right, this is a point now where I need to make sure that I'm doubling down on my process and my effort. So what is it for you? You will know, if you think about it, how you feel. How do you feel about 2 trading losers in a row? Is it okay? How do you feel about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? There's some point somewhere, depending on how you feel about the markets or how your trading style and strategy is. I mean, if you've got a high hit rate strategy, then you're going to expect to be making more winning trades in a row. If you've got a low hit rate strategy, let's say you're kind of, I don't know, buying long dated out of the money call options and lose, there's not a problem. So obviously it depends on the strategy you're trading, but at some point there's a psychological level that goes, you know, I'm changing the way I'm making my decisions. And there's going to be one as well to the upside. So how many winners in a row? You know, if you've had kind of, I don't know, let's say, I don't know, 4 or 5 winning days in a row, maybe it's going to be more than that. For me, it's probably many more than that. But there's a number where you then become so fixated on keeping the streak, so to speak, and you don't realize it, and you think, okay, well, subconsciously, it's a subconscious thing. Oh, Leo, I don't really want to have a red day, because if I have a red day, you know, I've had 30 days without a loss or whatever the number may be, that's, you know, I want to keep the streak going, and which is completely the wrong way of thinking about it. But we're human, guys. This is the point, and all the time I talk about in the videos, we are humans. We have to expect this is going to occur, but the key is to manage it and go, hey, I'm recognizing I've got this human inside me that wants to do things that aren't really conducive to longer term success. So I'm just going to manage it, and I'm just going to expect it and adjust around it. So when we want to get the bigger streak, when you've had 30 winning days in a row, you want to get the 31st, the 32nd, and your subconscious is saying, well, you take a profit a bit earlier. Just stop trading for the day now because you'll be up on the day. And you're like, listen, no, I need to keep trading the process. The process has shown me a trading setup coming in the late afternoon. I take these all day, every day. I'm going to take it. And the risk happens to be more than I made on that small trade in the morning. It could make you red for the day. It doesn't matter. I am here for the long-term growth of my trading account to take it to here, but I am to look for some stupid little streak that might take it here, 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 and just gives me a kind of number that feeds the inner chimp. And so both sides of the coin, guys, you've got a trigger number, you've got a number somewhere, trigger point that says, hey, I start to trade slightly differently when I'm under a little bit of pressure. And you've got something else as well that makes you trade differently when you've had a big run. It's subtle, it's not going to make that much impact, but the key, and like I say, guys, the summary is, it's not going to, the world's going to fall apart after 2 losers or 2 losing trades, but it's just, hey, don't let that change your process. Don't let that change your thought process and pattern and approach to trading, because then it becomes a slippery slope, because a little change is a little change the next trade, the next trade, the next trade, the next trade, and you end up then trading from a completely emotional state because you've had 5 or 6 losers in a row, which isn't a problem if it's managed correctly and the risk is managed correctly. Maybe at that point you step back and go, maybe I'm just not doing the right things here, but it's not a problem having a string of losers. It happens all the time, and you know, you recover from it, but it's letting those get to you, and that's key, and finding that point where they can get to you. So what is your trigger point, guys? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you feel about a certain number of days losers? And I put weeks as here because obviously for swing trading it's a different ball game. If you've had a couple of losing weeks, maybe that's the same for day traders, a couple of losing days. If you like this kind of stuff, if you like us kind of into different details and bits and pieces, then you know, thumbs up appreciated. Work out what you guys like and what I can share more of, and kind of make things that are useful for you as for me. Take care, guys. I'll see you next one. Oh, before I go, by the way, don't forget to check out our channel sponsor. The link to them in the description below. Bye bye.